Good evening, CamNet TV viewers, wherever you are watching us from. I am your pastor, Pastor Moses Chiluba. Last week, I introduced to this nation and the world Professor Michael Dynamite Munkumba. And he's such a blessing, not only to my wife and I and to the church, but to the whole world. Why do I say to the whole world? Professor Munkumba has been sleeping more on the plane than in the hotel and on the ground because of the nature of his job, lecturing from one university to another, government officials to this. He is a man that God has blessed. Professor Munkumba, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, viewers.
How is your wife and family?
My wife is watching right now, I'm sure, and she's pretty well. My children are also watching, and they are all blessed.
Amen.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful to have you here. And by the way, those of you always see Pastor Chiluba in a Chitenge material, and what the professor is wearing, the wife was awarded as the top designer in Kenya when they were living in Kenya.
Yes.
But she has since relocated with a family. They are here, and the latecomer is Professor Munkumba, who just relocated
this year
from his duties this year. But he had been in and out of Zambia. So if you want the Chitenge material, you want the fabric to be done professionally, you must contact CamNet TV. We are not going to give you her number. We'll give you and put you through in contact. Just in case you missed last week when I had Professor Munkumba, I want to say that Professor Munkumba is one of the people that has given the brains to go beyond what most of us have done. In the world of academics, he has 6 degrees, masters, PhDs, you name it, and is doing the 7th and the 8th at the same time, going to the 8th degree. And if you want, I always say this, when you talk about a grade 12 certificate, for a qualification, it's a good one. But Zambia must cast the net wide to look at people in different spheres of life. People like Professor Munkumba, Professor Msonda in America, Professor Maskini in Canada, and many more people. If we bring these people together, Zambia will not only succeed, but will have professional people. And may God richly bless you. Professor, once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor.
We are discussing entrepreneurship. Correct me. Is it intra or entrepreneurship? What is the correct word?
There are two pronunciations. One is British, the other is American. I think entrepreneurship is American. Entrepreneurship is British. So the Zamlish one...
It sounds like French.
Yes, entrepreneurship is okay.
Yeah.
The way we pronounce it here is we're more inclined to the British. So it's okay, entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
I shall open up where the word comes from so we get the root.
Define for me, what is entrepreneurship? Because when the word comes up,
yes,
it sounds like anybody on the market.
Correct.
Anybody making hose, selling charcoal, whatever. What is entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Pastor. Because this is a subject that is skill-based, and it's a specialist area in terms of learning. So maybe allow me to say one or two preliminaries.
Please go ahead.
Yes, to set the stage, and then we can delve into the subject. And for the sake of those just joining us for the first time, and as you mentioned, Pastor, they were not here last week, so they never watched me. I just have two things to share or to say. First, one, I was personally born into a peasant family. So if you talk about entrepreneurship, perhaps it starts all the way there. My parents were peasants, very low education, hardly really, but they could read and write. But they were excellent, and they taught me well in our way of living, in our culture. And so they formed my character pretty well. So the first milestone was being born in that peasant family in Chifu Mungole, in a village named after my grandfather, Munkumba. First.
So you grew up in Mungole?
Absolutely.
And nothing like Sunningdale, Kablonga?
No way.
Yeah.
Village, taking care of cattle in the bush way before I started school. That's where I started. The first. The second one was at the sprightly old age of 14 at Mukush Secondary School. Pastor Jim Ford came from Kabwe Chapel and preached there at the school. He held a crusade.
He was my pastor.
Imagine, wow, isn't that great? Now, that man is great in my life because he preached and he made an altar call. And of the 1,000 students, I was one of probably 5 who responded to the altar call, went to the front, and I consciously gave my life to Jesus Christ.
At the age of 14?
1975. I gave my life to the Lord. So that was the second milestone. So nothing very sophisticated at all. Born in a peasant family, then born again into the eternal family 14 years later. So this is me. When you know, you know. So you know this is where I'm coming from.
That's right.
All right? Now we are discussing entrepreneurship on national matters, and that is because we are thinking national development. And I like to talk about journey to self-reliance.
Actually, when you talk about this subject, Professor, as the title is National Matters.
Correct.
My wife and I believe that Zambia can be changed by Zambians.
Absolutely.
This is what I believe.
Yes.
You should correct me whether I'm wrong.
Nope.
I just believe that us Zambians, born here in Mungule, Chinsali, wherever you are, we can change this nation.
I absolutely agree. And the subject itself is so important that, Pastor, as we were talking before the program, we will need to design a series and we choose perhaps another day when we can go step by step and perhaps take area by area. Maybe we talk about marketing, we talk about recruitment, we talk about customer care, we talk about quality management, and we can be covering them either in twos or sometimes if it's big, just one. So those who want to write and take notes can really write and get educated. I want to call that a mini master class.
Because, Professor, of the schedule, and the tight programs that ComNet has and bringing up that. But let me tell you something.
Correct.
We'll just have to design classes or seminars.
Correct.
Where you come and teach.
Yes.
And all the Zambians that were born for greatness and they have it within themselves.
Correct.
They cannot avoid this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first, and so first about me, the second generally about entrepreneurship. Third, there is a subject called the cone of learning, C-O-N-E. So it's like a pyramid. The cone of learning by a guy called Edgar Dell. And he talks about how can you remember things. How much do you remember depending on either you were writing, you were listening, you were participating, or you watched a demonstration and you were part of it. So I just go through this quickly just to tell the viewers why it's important sometimes to note down things than just listening. He says, if you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything in 2 weeks' time. It's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. 10%. If you watch, like now they are watching us, audiovisual, they are listening and watching, you may remember up to 20% by 2 weeks' time. If you watch a demonstration, 30%. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. If you practice what you have heard, like now we are speaking,
and we start practicing,
you practice, 75% retention of the knowledge you have heard. And if you teach others what you have heard, up to 90% remains yours. It's called the cone of learning. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it. If you keep it to yourself, you lose it.
you lose it, yeah.
Kind of like a candlelight. If a candlelight in a dark room lights other candles, the first candlelight does not lose its light.
No.
But the room is brighter because there are more candles now lighting. So as we share, it's my encouragement that as you listen, you write down and then talk to others about it. Then it is really your knowledge. All right? The fourth one I want to talk about is the subconscious mind. As we are going to be sharing, your mind has a lot of stuff that you have already stored over your lifetime. And what happens is, as you are listening, there's an argument going on within your mind. Now, this is where we talk about unlearning in order to learn.
Unlearning.
In order to learn. So you have to get rid of, if you want to fill a cup that already is full of things, the rest, it will just spill over.
Yeah.
So you got to empty your cup and then put in new stuff. So the subconscious mind is so powerful, and it determines your behavior and your actions. And when you say, I am poor, you're actually speaking to your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind cannot debate whether you are right or wrong. It just acts on what it hears.
Really?
And fulfills what you tell it. Which is why later we'll talk about setting goals.
Repeat that, Professor, because now I'm hearing you speak.
Yes.
And as a pastor, my mind is going to the Bible to say, if you have thought about foolish things, don't say it. Put your hand on the mouth. Don't say it.
Yes, yes. Pastor, that is so powerful. You know, scripture is from God. So the things we learn in psychology, you find scripture already talked about it. Yeah, you just realize this is what the Bible says. The subconscious mind is like your internal GPS. You know, the GPS, the global positioning system, is predicated or is designed on the human mind. They just use what the human mind works like. If you want to drive from here, Pastor, to Mukushi Farm Block, and you want to use the GPS, you have to give it the where you are going, the destination. Now, it can tell where you are. So you give it exactly where you're going, then it works out the different routes and tells you the right route to go there. The subconscious mind works like that. When you give it information, it calculates how to take you there. So if you say, I'm poor, it will do all it can to make sure that that poverty is realized.
I'm telling.
But if you tell it things that are positive,
I was born for greatness.
Exactly.
My goodness.
What happens after you tell the mind that I was born for greatness? Then and yet you are not yet great in reality.
That's right.
Then what arises in your mind is called structural tension. Meaning the subconscious mind realizes that you are supposed to be great, but you are not. So it begins to calculate a path to take you to that greatness. So you wake up in the middle of the night and a bright idea comes and you wonder, where is it coming from? Your subconscious mind is working. Calculating on creative ideas to take you to that journey you've been describing all the time, talking to it. Which is why, Pastor, if you tell yourself just before you go to sleep, and you say, I must wake up at 5 a.m., and then you sleep, 1 minute to 5 a.m., your eyes will pop open, no matter what. Subconscious mind. So it's a powerful thing. So I'm saying this so that the viewers know that as we are going to be speaking, they have a subconscious mind that has already been written over by a lot of people, some of which are wrong messages. Jehovah. And we have to take an eraser sometimes, erase those things, so we can write new things to move us to greatness, to move us to prosperity, to move us from saying aba ni bazungu, as though there are no poor bazungus, but to the fact that if we ourselves can take us to a similar situation as those people we admire.
Can I hold your thoughts
Yes, Pastor.
at the moment.
Yes,
you
Pastor.
see, we are here to bless the nation.
Absolutely.
Professor, there is a scripture in Ecclesiastes, chapter 9,
Yes.
verse 11.
Correct.
Now, I know you are going to, this is the scripture.
Yes.
I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, nor wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all.
You know, Pastor, I could speak for an entire day on that verse, but from my side.
Yeah, it's from your side, because
Yes,
let me tell you,
it's amazing.
let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
Professor Munkumba is not just a professor who sits in university lecture rooms giving MBA lessons and all this. I was so blessed that when we visited the family in Kenya some time back, when was that?
I think it could be 94.
1994, when we
Yes.
came to
Correct.
visit you.
Correct.
Each time we went to their church, as a professor, he was the first person to be in the church, sweeping and everything. But apart from that, they called him Pastor Munkumba, not professor. And this is the legacy that he carries on the other side because of his love for God. I just wanted to put the people into the know so that when you say I can teach from your side,
Yes.
that they should understand that it's not from my side.
Correct.
Talk about that, because the subconscious that you have
Yes.
brought,
Yes.
my mind just went there
Yes.
thinking
Yes.
that no one is down in
Yeah.
this world.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think.
I love what the scripture says at the end, where it says chance
Time and chance
happen to all. There's a word in Greek called kairos. Kairos, yeah, K-A-R-O-S. And it's in English it would be an opportune moment, or a moment of opportunity. And these opportunities are the type that when it passes, it never comes back. Yes, when you miss it, that one is gone. When you get another one, it's a different one, it's a new one.
Really?
And we conclude, I can give you 1,000 examples, but we conclude that if you miss all those opportunities, you are really missing your life. So, but if you are observant and you're expectant, you will see them. And so we can use big names like Bill Gates and say, how did that gentleman leave second year of Harvard degree without finishing it in order to go and start his Microsoft? That was a kairos moment. He decided to seize it. Now, I'm sure he looked very silly. How can you abandon a lucrative Harvard degree, so expensive? What would the parents think of you to go and start something that nobody knows what it is in some garage somewhere? But hey, the rest is history. So there are many people who have done that. Those are guys who are looking for an opportunity. And when you look for it, you seize it. You will find it. And when you find it, seize it. So that's a kairos. It says it happens to everyone. Educated, not educated. Opportunities come to all.
Villager or town person?
Town person. And this is why sometimes people with far less education, even they have made it. And some of us maybe with a lot of education, and we're just average. Because the same opportunities come to all of us. It matters who is looking for the opportunity and can seize it. And when we zero in on entrepreneurship, it's all about looking for those opportunities. And I would say it could be a problem in society, or people complaining about something, but yet that's an opportunity. Now, someone sees a problem, you, if you're an entrepreneur, you see an opportunity. And you seize it, solve a problem, and find money follows you. You didn't even go out to make money. You went out to solve a problem. But money came. What happened? There was an opportunity that everybody saw as a problem to complain about. You saw it as an opportunity to solve something, and the money followed.
Professor,
Yes.
may the Lord bless you.
Yes.
Let me chip in what
Yes.
you have said.
Correct.
I'm sitting there with my wife, I think, before we went in the office of the Prime Minister of Antigua.
Yes.
I'm sitting there, and I saw this magazine about this man in the UK, what's his name? The owner of Virgin Island?
yes, the Virgin Atlantic. Branson.
Sir Richard Branson.
Yes.
How he started that.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I pick up this magazine. I just read, while we are waiting to go in the office of the head of state,
Yes.
I just read about three quarters, and I was fascinated. I said, Madam, can I pick this magazine? She said, sure. But how this gentleman became rich, he flew to West Indies. And when they were to go to another island, there was a storm. And they were marooned at one island. And more tourists were coming.
Correct.
So he picks up the phone. While everyone was complaining, he picks up the phone and he says, how much is it to charter a plane? They gave him the bill. When he calculated the passengers, he found that it was a quarter of what?
So he could charge them?
He chartered the plane,
Yes.
charged all the passengers, picked this, took them there, picked those, took them there. He kept that plane. The rest is history. That's how
Virgin Atlantic.
So you see, in every problem,
people were complaining.
yes.
He saw a kairos and he seized it.
Oh, Jehovah. Oh.
The fifth thing I want to mention, Pastor, preliminary,
Yes.
is that if you are going to be an entrepreneur, now I know many people have gone into business for different reasons. I think in our part of the world, many of them is because they can't help it. They've lost a job, they've lost a breadwinner, they've been retired suddenly, retrenched, and so they go into business. Fine, I accept that. But if someone is watching and they're like, I want to do business and they want to start, what I would tell them is open your mind first. And some will see the world, others will see Africa, others will see the region, but the majority, I think I would say, see Zambia. Open your mind to the whole of Zambia and see Zambia as the entire canvas on which you must paint your life. Why? So, let me put it this way. You can close your eyes and see the entire map of Zambia and say, this is my area of operation. Why that is important is, you may be making circles in Lusaka struggling, when actually an idea you have could work better in Mwinilunga or Senanga or Lundazi. But because your mind, for you, business means Lusaka. Then you are here struggling with 1 million others doing exactly the same thing, and you are just working hard, and working hard is not everything. It's working smart. So work hard, but work smart. So open your mind, see the whole country, and then be ready to go anywhere where it might work for you. If it will work in Lusaka, be here. If it is on the Copper Belt, go there. If it is somewhere in some rural area, go there. So keep your mind open, because you are a Zambian. The entire Zambia is your place of operation. Now, if you have a bigger mind, you might look at SADC, or you might look at Africa, or you might look at the world. But for the majority, Zambia alone is big, more than big enough. And I think the majority of our people, they have a localized mindset.
And
if they're in
Kanyama,
no, even Kanyama, that's the only place. If they're in Mtendere, it's just Mtendere. They can't see anything beyond that. That also is a mind of poverty. Yes. Zambia is ours. So you can go to Chipata, look around. I had a friend in Kenya. He wanted, during the Manawasa time, he just got on a plane, came to Zambia. Got on a bus, went to Livingstone, came back to Lusaka, went to Mwinilunga. Then he came back to Kenya, Nairobi, and said, my goodness, your country. I can't believe you people are here. Doing what? The opportunities there, the friendliness of the people. He said he couldn't believe what he saw. He was a foreigner. He just hit Lusaka and reached Livingstone and reached Mwinilunga. How many Zambians have been born here? They are 50 years old. They've never been outside of some places. Perhaps they're just in Lusaka. They don't even know Mazabuka.
Not even Kafio.
They don't know Kafio or Kapiniposhi. How can you have a mind like an entrepreneur's mind is opened? The very least, Zambia. And if you are smarter than that, know about Botswana, about Namibia. And some people go to Namibia. Just get on a bus one day. You'll be shocked what happens to your mind just going out of the country, going out of your environs, going away. Even Abraham passed. God had to tell him, leave your people.
Your people.
Go somewhere else, and the man prospered and became a father of nations, not in his village.
You know, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that the Chinese
Yes.
are getting into Kaputa? They are getting into Shangombo. They are getting land.
Yes.
And Zambians, a Lusaka resident, doesn't even want to go to Mukushi to get land.
And it's too far.
And it's too far. Somebody has traveled from Benjin to go and get a land in Kaputa. To go and get land in Kaputa.
Yes.
Chinsali.
Yes.
I received
that beautiful place.
I received the phone calls from two of the chiefs.
Yes.
They said, Pastor, we've been watching Camnet TV.
Yes.
Here we are invaded by the Chinese.
Yes.
They want land like sweets.
Yes. Yes.
And yet, Zambians,
Yes.
when my wife and I talk about land,
Yes.
please get land, they don't see it.
Exactly.
Most of them.
Exactly.
They say it's too far.
Which is sad. I drove through Chinsali, I drove through Kasama in January. The land is beautiful. And the same sand loams as in Chongwe. The same. Masuku, same trees. Just that there's a lot of deforestation now, which is another opportunity. Opportunity of planting forests.
I'm telling you.
Which can make firewood, which can make furniture. That's an opportunity. You can complain that the trees are being cut, but actually that's an opportunity to plant now commercial trees.
You've gone too fast,
Yes,
too good.
I know.
These are two good things and you are too fast for us. Okay. Who is an entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I'm
Who
coming.
Is an entrepreneur?
Thank you first.
The things that you are offloading already, I feel like we should go for 4 hours.
Here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
I hinted that we will need a mini masterclass, and in that mini masterclass, I'll cover 3 areas. Ideas and opportunities is one, and there will be a lot of subtopics. Ideas and opportunities. The second one will be building a business. What does that mean? What does it take? And the final one will be financing a business. How to use what is called OPM, other people's money, OPB, other people's brains, and so on and so forth. Those 3 sections should cover the entire subject, but that's for the future, for the mini masterclass in entrepreneurship.
We'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get
But for today, I'm going to give that definition of an entrepreneur. But first of all, I wanted to raise the appetite by just giving a few statistics. Is that okay, Pastor?
You have already raised it. We are ready to eat, but go ahead.
This one is good.
Go ahead.
Here is.
Yeah.
Singapore, a first world country that has developed within the last 45 years, 24 of the top companies are family owned.
24.
Plus 2 trusts, they are family owned. In total, about 42 companies, so 24 are local companies, plus another 18 foreign ones, and a total of 10 trusts. They are capitalized at $218 billion. They are all family owned. Family owned. In fact, the top 10 companies, the last time I checked, were all family owned in the country. I'm saying this to show that actually families can set up businesses that become multinationals, and there's a reason why that is possible. That's one. India, the top companies like Tata Group, that's a family company.
I'm telling you.
Tata, I think the majority of people will know Tata Company.
Tata Bus.
Yeah,
Tata,
exactly.
Tata
There are others like TVS, Aditya, Kirloskar, Godreji, Shapuji, Palonji, Reliance Group. All those are huge conglomerates, which means they're into oil, into cars, into all kinds of things, and they are all family owned. These are massive multinationals. So families can start something small which can become so huge, and there's a reason for that, because we are discussing entrepreneurship. The US has 5.5 million family owned businesses. 5.5 million companies, family owned. Okay? South Africa, what drives the economy are all family businesses. South Africa.
Really?
Kenya, 490 family-owned businesses, and they're a key driver to Kenya's economy. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes we look to big companies and we think that's where the economy lies. Actually, the economy lies with the small guys who start something, but our people need skills so that something can grow and it does not die with them. But it's passed on to the next generation and the other generation, and it continues to grow. That's what has been mostly lacking. So most of our African people, when they die, their business dies. And it ought not to be that way. So the Jews, the Indians, they pass on. And it gets bigger and bigger. So skills pass on to the next generation with even more skills, and so on and so forth. So those statistics I thought I should speak. Having said that, now we can define entrepreneurship. Is that okay, Pastor?
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. There are two words that define or that create the word entrepreneur. Or if you're British, entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yeah.
So two words. And these are French words. The first word is called entre. Entre. Like E-N-T-R-E. Entre. And entre in French means to strike out. So you strike out, or to leave, or to dive in, like kind of like you are diving into a swimming pool. Now, I remember once we were on Lake Malawi, on the shores, and I was training people from different countries, and there was this Zambian young sister. She was such a good swimmer, so she swims into the lake, and then she lies on the water, like on a bed, floating, no movement. So one guy said, how come she's floating like that? Said, yeah. She said, you can also float. So you mean I can come there? She said, yes. So the guy dived in, but it was deep, eh? So the guy sank like a rock. He had to be fished out somewhere under there. When he came out splattering, almost drowning, he said, but why is she floating and me? I sank like a rock. And he said, you were too tense. You were not relaxed.
Yeah.
Now what that guy did was he dived in. That's a picture of entre. He just dived in. Now, of course, he was reckless, but you shouldn't be that reckless. But that's a picture of taking a risk. That's entrepreneurship, okay? The second word is prendre. Prendre. In French, I think you say entre and then prendre. Now, to prendre means to grasp, to understand, or to capture something. So you grasp it. Now, we talked about opportunities. So you dive in and grasp something. This is entrepreneurship. All right, Master. So other words are to undertake something. So you get the word undertaker. It's coming actually from that root. Okay? Adventurer. So you go on an adventure. So true entrepreneurship is an adventure. This is why before you really go out on the path of an entrepreneur, you need to sit back and think and reflect. And then when you start out, it's not, you don't want to go there out of desperation, without thought. These are the people who go in, and then they come out complaining, it doesn't work here, this place is very bad. They discourage everyone else. They actually did like that guy who dived into Lake Malawi without thinking. So now we will say water is very bad, never you swim, you see. But that lady was swimming there. She has practice. She knows how to float. All right. So entrepreneurship means I reflect. I look at a situation. Where are there gaps? Where are there the most complaints? Because those are opportunities right there. Where is it people don't want to go? Like now, the people you're talking about, Pastor, they will come to Zambia, and tomorrow they're in the bush.
Yes.
None of us want to go to the bush, but that's where the opportunities are. So they look, where are people not exploiting? Where are there complaints? Where are there gaps in services and products? The Zambian mind, and I'm going ahead of myself, is to see who is doing what so that I can imitate. Now that's a lack of originality, and that's unfortunate because you're literally putting your mind to sleep by simply copying. Now there is benchmarking, yes, but if all of us are doing the same thing, the profits simply drop and we all begin to close down. But if you're going to look for gaps, it might be that it's the same thing, but there's a lack in the quality of service. And you go and fill a niche that covers that lack of quality.
Not just another channel.
Not just another channel.
Yeah.
And you fill a niche, and money will come. You just have to be original enough to take your time, study the situation. Don't go and duplicate. You are merely fighting for the same cake. Go and create something called blue ocean strategy. Now, blue ocean strategy has a picture of, I'm a shark. There are many sharks in this water. If I go there, we will fight and we'll all bleed, and the water will be red. So I look for a pool where there are no sharks. I'll be the only shark. So the water will remain blue, no blood. It's called the blue ocean. So I look for a place where others are not yet there. If they are there, they are not performing at a level I want to perform. So I become unique. Then I go there and start something. So I dive in. I take the risk still. I dive in and I grasp that opportunity. So entrepreneurship is about taking a risk for some gain of sorts. I take a risk for profit. I take a risk in order to gain something. There is a reward to every risk. Entrepreneurship is always a risk.
So this, Professor,
Yes, sir.
sounds to me like you don't have to beat your head that you've never been to university.
No.
When it comes to entrepreneurship.
No, I'll put it this way, Pastor. If someone has been to Form 5, actually the time we did Form 5, I would say if you are a Form 5, you are educated. Things have changed a bit now, so I would say if you have a degree, a diploma or a degree, you are educated enough. Yes. Anything else, even in jobs, they will tell you master's degree, added advantage, okay? It's an added advantage. Meaning if I have a diploma or an advanced diploma or a degree, I am educated. What I need now is learning. And learning might mean entrepreneurship. I look for other entrepreneurs. I find out. I read about them. I talk to them. I observe them. I am learning. And I can strike out. I don't need many degrees to be an entrepreneur. I just need basic education and then a lot of learning, which doesn't have to be in a classroom, except maybe for short courses. And now there are free webinars online, which you can attend and just listen, participate, and it's free, and it's online. I am learning, and I'm practicing tomorrow in my business. That's it. So a diploma, a degree is an educated person. They just need to learn now. Yes.
You know why I'm asking? I've told this story when my son was playing golf.
Yes,
Michael.
Pastor. Yes, Pastor.
When he was 12 years, I flew with him to Namibia. It was the Zone 6, where South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, I think they come together, the boys.
Yes.
There is a junior one and the senior
The seniors, yes.
one. The junior one.
Yes.
They were competing in Botswana, and I flew with him there.
Yes.
Mr. Chinungi was the manager then.
Correct.
But there was this South African boy
Yes.
that I saw. In golf, I can go into details.
Correct.
But I can tell you he was just something.
Yes.
He shot the lowest round after going OB,
Yes.
but he still became the best golfer that day.
Wow.
We are resting somewhere. There was rain, and we are all waiting there. Then I said to him, his name is Brandon Grace.
Okay.
He's one of the top 50 now in the world.
Oof.
I go to him, I said, Brandon, after this, are you going to university? He says, Pastor Chilwa, to do what?
Yes.
I said, are you not going to learn? And he says, no, Pastor. God has given me a gift.
Correct.
My gift is golf.
What is that in your hands?
Yeah, my gift is golf.
Yes.
I'm going to work hard
Yes.
and employ graduates
Correct.
to work for me.
OPB, other people's brains.
Do you know that that boy is worth over $20 million as we speak?
My word.
He has won games. Brandon Grace, anybody who knows golf.
Yes.
And when I saw Michael, I said, Michael, stand next to him. I took a shot, and they are best of friends. I said, Michael, watch. Michael was 12. That boy was 14. Wow. I said, watch this boy.
Wow.
This boy was born for greatness like you.
Wow.
Can you imagine the boy is worth over $20 million through sponsorship?
Yes.
So,
yes. He saw an opportunity.
He saw an opportunity.
He grabbed it.
My goodness.
Yes. 3 things I'll hint here, Pastor. Actually 4. If you are going to be an entrepreneur, the 4 things you should consider. First of all, make up your mind. Do you want to start a small business and keep it small? Because there are some people who, they don't want the hassle of a big business. They just want a small business. It will take care of food, kids in school, and that's it. If that's what you want, make up your mind, all I want is a small business. You make that mind. 1. 2, do you want a scalable business, which means I will start small and scale it up until it's big. So I bring in other people later. Decide right from the start. Because this looks very straightforward, but people go into business and they really have no clue as to what kind of, the word is trajectory, or what kind of path do you want that business to follow over a certain period? So they just start working, hoping things will happen going forward. It doesn't work well that way. So decide, I want a small business, I don't want hassles, I will employ 2 people, that's it. Or I want to have a big business that later on I can retire and have a foundation and do what I love and the business continues. That's a decision you make. Or do you want to start a large business from day one? That's also possible. You can have a big idea, go and convince bankers to finance you, or if you're already employed, you can sometimes convince your employers to support you. I recall in the early 90s when there was privatization, and sometimes you would see people, employees, a bunch of employees would break away from a company, but they talk to the management. They say, okay, we want to form a cleaning company that will clean the group of companies. So the management says, sure. They support them. They set up a company that already begins to clean all the companies in the group. So that cleaning company is already big from day one. So it's something you plan out. Is this what we want to do? You can also go, finally, the 4th one is social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship means I go and solve a community problem. I impact a particular community, but there is profit in it as well. Now, the Dutch are very good at that, the rich Dutch people. And I recall one who came to Tanzania and he saw that the Maasai people take a lot of cattle, but they are far from any town. So their milk would go to waste before it would reach the market. So the guy went there and set up a dairy factory deep in the bush among the Maasais, using solar and everything. And then he planted trees. Because the Maasais also use firewood, so they were cutting the trees. So he planted the trees that were used to make commercial charcoal, which they would sell to the Maasais. Then the Maasais supplied milk to the company, and he processed the milk. So the community suddenly had so much income. He has impacted that community, but he's making money. That is called social entrepreneurship. It's a very satisfying business. And it's a model that one can go into. In a country like Zambia, a lot of opportunities for social entrepreneurship. So that's, do you want to start a small business? Do you want to start one that starts small but grows big? Do you want to go straight for a big business? Or do you want to go for social entrepreneurship? So you can make up your mind, I think I'll go like this, before you even start. If you're going to be systematic, your chances of success are higher than when you play like that guy who dived into the lake. Without thinking about it. Before you know it, we are fishing you like fish. Like
Simon Peter Master.
May I walk?
Can I walk on what?
Come. Because like that guy who dived, for a while he splattered on top, then he sank. Just like Peter walked, then sank. But here's the good news for Peter. They walked back together with Jesus to the boat. You know that one is not mentioned.
No, it's not mentioned.
The man walked back.
Which is a miracle.
Yes. Powerful. Wonderful. What about the process? So, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I made up my mind I want to be a small or a big or a scalable, or I'm going into social entrepreneurship. Maybe I'm going to go to the village and I'm going to start a business there and impact the local community. In Zambia, we are talking about journey to self-reliance. And we know that poverty in rural areas has been so stubborn. It's been very difficult to break. I visit my home, I visit other villages, you can tell it's really hard. And it's been so hard to break that poverty. Much of it is really empowerment of the people. It's at a mindset, as I mentioned earlier. Not so much that someone should come and do something for them, give them fish, but how to teach them to fish. That's a big thing. So I can say I want to go to the village. To the village, start with one village and then scale it to many villages, and this is the model of business I want to employ there. So what is the process you must follow? That is something we should discuss now. What is the process? And I will say this, unless you have something to question, Pastor.
No, I just heard a story about how somebody came to Africa.
Correct.
You'd tell it better.
Yes.
You should know this, that somebody came to Africa from Europe.
Oh yes, about shoes. Yes.
And they discovered we didn't have shoes. Tell me that story.
There were 2 characters.
It's you who told me.
Yeah, there were 2 characters. No, you might have read it somewhere because it's used a lot in writings of missionaries also. So 2 characters. One comes, everyone is barefoot, the feet are practicing independence, a lot of oxygen, free aeration. they don't fellowship the toes. He said, this place, nobody uses shoes. It's impossible to sell shoes here. That was the end. The other guy came, looked, said, my goodness, no one has shoes. The opportunities here are unlimited. Send the shoes. So again, this is the glass is half empty versus the glass is half full syndrome. Both were looking at the same situation. One saw a problem, another one saw an opportunity. And the guy who saw an opportunity exploited it. And I think in Zambia, that's probably one of our biggest challenges. And I don't blame us, and I can't say it's just limited to Zambia. I think it's almost global, that we are brought up with a negative mind. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. By the time you are 7, you have had so many don'ts and very few do's. So our mind is capable of seeing the negative faster than seeing the positive. So
just like, you know, we are at a time, Professor,
correct,
when most of Zambians,
yes,
we have reclined,
yes,
to the fact that the economy is destroyed.
Exactly, and that is bad. And even to just see that there are challenges is one thing, but almost like nothing can be done about it, or that somebody else should do something about it. And yet, if I decide to do something alone, and there is, okay, we say we are 18 million, let's say 2 to 3 million people can do something. 2 to 3 million. I can do something, then you can do something, another one can do something. Before long, many of us are trying to do something in an informed way, in a systematic way, in a structured way. We drive an economy. Then all we will do is demand of government to have the right policies, to streamline and simplify regulation, so that it doesn't become roadblocks, because it can happen. Too many licenses, too many offices to visit. Like now, Smart Zambia, it's something. So go online and do ABCD. Pakra, you go online and you do things. So I don't have to get on a car to go to Pakra to register. I just go online. Those are the simplifications that we can demand of government to do more. But we, at our own level, we are doing something. This is what sets apart countries that move faster. It's because the people are already doing things. Then they demand of government to merely create an enabling environment where we can flourish. Absolutely. So what's the process, Pastor? Number one, I want to say our minds are made of two parts, or many parts, but two parts we are interested in. The left side, the right side. And there's a whole theory around that the right brain is for creativity. The right brain. So most artists use a lot of the right brain. That's where you get all these feelings, emotions, dreaming, anticipating, fantasizing. This is in the right brain. Then your logical brain, the left side, there are arguments against it, but it makes sense. Is where you have your mathematics, you have your logic, your reasoning, your numbers, etc., your science in the left brain. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, you need to engage your right brain a lot. That's because the other side relies on what is. So you are thinking in what is called the box. The right side thinks about what is not. So this is where God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he ceased. But he didn't create a car. He didn't create a plane. He didn't create a bicycle. He gave us all the raw materials so that we can co-create.
Can you imagine that?
And now that's the right brain. This is why one young person asked, so we use 5% of our brain. So what happened to the 95%? Then someone said, well, Adam could use the 100%. That's why he could just say, this is an elephant, this is what. Yeah. Then when the man fell, that part was shut down. So, but this 5% can do a lot. There's still a lot of creativity there. We use very little of it. Entrepreneurship means going into the creative side and imagining and dreaming. This is where the vision is born. You begin to see what is not. You begin to see the impossible as possible. Now, for children of God, surely that's why I say we are the most guilty. Because now for us, We even taught about faith. We are taught about nothing is impossible with God. To whoever believes, nothing is impossible. We even have all this.
Oh, Jehovah.
So dream big. When you dream big, you beginning to use your creative mind. And when you go to sleep, ideas begin to come into your mind. And the only lesson there that I would say is, if in the middle of the night you get an idea, don't sleep. Wake up and write it down. Because when you wake up, the idea will have disappeared. And that's because your random access memory doesn't really store things. If you don't act on it, it throws it into your unconscious mind, and you can't retrieve it.
You can't retrieve
You can't retrieve.
It's like delete.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
been deleted.
Deleted completely. Can't. At least delete, you might go to that delete bin and reclaim. But this one is when you go to the bin also and delete it. So it doesn't exist unless you are a computer engineer to go and dig there.
Yeah.
So you write it. And I encourage people, if you want to be an entrepreneur, learn to move around with an e-pad or a paper notepad and a pen. So you'll hear a lot of ideas being spoken by people. They just speak them and then they go away and forget. You take them down. And when something hits you, you are in a minibus, write it down. You will grow so fast.
You are saying, Professor,
Yes.
it is important for a person to have a notebook.
Always.
Wherever you are going.
Always have a notebook and a
pen.
pen. Or if you have an e-pad where you can type. Always. And when people are talking, don't just listen and go away. If someone says something really powerful, don't let it pass. Tell them, please, can you repeat that? And you write it down. Two things happen. They feel respected that you are taking down the idea. But for you, you have also carried something which 10 minutes later you'd have forgotten. Later on, you can go and implement.
Oh.
For me, when I'm writing a book, which is what taught me, always. I am writing all the time, and I pick stories. I wake up in the night, I'm writing. Sometimes I can hardly sleep because I keep waking up every minute. Here's how the right brain works, Pastor. When it gives you an idea, and you respond, the next idea will come sooner than the previous one. You respond again. The third idea will come even sooner until the ideas are coming like this. On the flip side, if you get an idea and you ignore it, the next one takes longer to come. If you ignore, the third one takes even longer until they stop coming. And for many of us, those creative ideas no longer come because we have ignored and disrespected our creative part in our mind.
You know, my wife
Is
one person you have seen even when we are having a meeting.
Correct.
She's always writing.
Yes.
She likes taking things.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Now that does not mean I use the left brain.
You could be a lefty, Pastor. So what did I say?
Yeah.
Process.
Everything.
Process. Number one, have an idea. Use your right brain. Think. God gave us a right brain to think, to create, to picture a world that is not, to picture a future that hasn't happened. And then you work. Remember the subconscious mind also? Once you have pictured that mind with your creative side, the subconscious mind picks it and creates a GPS to that place. Suddenly, you'll have a certain book that you would never have looked at twice. Your mind is active towards that. You love listening to a certain person you ignored all these years. But suddenly you are like, you mean you have told me this before? He said, yes, many times. Then you wonder, why am I interested now? Suddenly you begin to drop certain friends and begin to gain other friends. Yeah, because now suddenly you are alive to something you had already always ignored. So we talk about a sleeping giant being awakened. And I said to people that all of us are giants inside, all of us, and I'm not speaking at a spiritual level in the sense that you all need to be born again. There is that. I mean, if we're talking about being born again, everybody watching us, I would say, please be born again first of all before you do anything, all right? Here, I'm presuming you have done those important steps. But you are a giant. You are a diamond. You are an emerald inside. there could be a lot of soil that has been piled on you, just like true emeralds are underground and people have to dig to find that emerald. All of us are an emerald inside, but sometimes a lot of soil is heaped on us. You are useless, you will not achieve anything. Zambia is nothing, we are poor. That soil being piled on us. We need to remove that soil the way the miners dig and then get to the diamond and take it out of you.
What would you say to an entrepreneur person
Yes.
who wants to become great but is surrounded by negative friends?
Oh, well, that's a great one. So within you, you feel, I am diamond. But everyone else around you are just
Gravel.
stones and gravel and things.
Crushed stone.
Now, the answer to that is, what do people do to emeralds? They dig them out of the soil. No matter where it is, they hunt for it, move tons of soil. They pick the diamond or the emerald. They sort them. They wash them. They polish them. They cut them. And then they sell them at a very high price. So if you are in the midst of people who are pulling you down, begin to associate with people who are walking on the same path. Yes. Because there is I think it was Mandela who was quoting another writer, and he said, there is nothing to be gained by living a life that is less than you are capable of. There is nothing.
Repeat that.
There is nothing to be gained by living a life that is less than you are capable of. Meaning, and this is a challenge for us Africans, because we are communalists, not communists, communalists. We are brought up in communities, which is a positive. But the downside of that is that we don't want to become a giant, because then I'll make others around me uncomfortable.
Feel bad.
Uncomfortable. So we remain a dwarf. Then everyone is comfortable, because we are all dwarfs. So Mandela, quoting Santayana, another philosopher, he said, actually, the best thing is for you to become a giant, so that those around you can say, if she can become, then maybe I too can. Then you lift others to become giants, rather than remaining a dwarf so that everyone is comfortable with dwarfism. Okay, so someone says, I'm born for greatness, I'm supposed to be a great entrepreneur, but I'm around people who are pulling me down. Separate yourself, become a giant, then you'll be able to help them also become giants. But if you remain among them, you just remain a dwarf, just like them. Yes. I mean, find people who are like-minded with you, and then pattern your life after them. But don't forget where you come from. Once you are great, go back and lift others. They can also become great like you. The Dangote phenomenon, if you like. Okay? So engage the right brain. It's the first step.
Just pause for a moment.
Yes, Pastor.
I want to encourage the people of Zambia, the government, the permanent secretaries, to buy this book by Professor Munkumba, the one I'm talking to here, Essential Management and Leadership Toolkit. This book is being used in universities as lessons for MBA students.
And a few presidents have it, by the way.
A few presidents
like Namibia, Uganda, places, yes.
So I encourage all of you who were born for greatness. You know that Zambia is a great nation.
Yes.
Professor, when I say to people with my wife that I was born for greatness,
yes,
it's not a copied idea.
No.
It's something that I feel.
Not copy and paste.
No. I feel it. I live it. I may not have the money like Dangote, but I'm not inferior to Dangote.
No, you're creating a future.
I feel that I was born for greatness.
You're creating a future.
And so books like this, which every Zambian can buy.
Correct.
And you know, like you said, about copy and paste.
Yes.
When my wife and I had this dream of opening Camnet TV, we said to ourselves, Camnet TV should be a blessing to somebody. In whichever way. It's not just providing news. When we started, it was just music with my music, my wife and I, and all this. And I remember, Professor, people saying to me, but Pastor Chua, why are you just the two of you?
Yes,
on television? You don't invite others.
Yes.
We would not answer because you see, life is a journey.
Yes, yes.
You don't just leave from here, you go to Chipata compound. If you are going to South Africa, it's a long distance.
Correct.
But the point is this, Professor.
Yes.
We wanted to create a television station that will be practical and meet the needs of the people.
Indeed.
Look at the things that you are offloading.
Yes.
If all of us Zambians can watch Kamne TV, if all of us, instead of just watching songs, Dumbwiza, and all this, you are impacting knowledge. And I believe with all my heart, Dr. Munkumba, that Zambians, we should come together. And I'll ask you about that. Because I'm very passionate. You know, Kamne TV has got serious minds.
Indeed.
I can tell you.
Agreed.
Serious minds.
Agreed.
Who, when they hear something, they will put it into action.
Indeed.
But go ahead and...
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I said engage the right brain for ideas. Second, get business skills. And I think this is probably, I can't emphasize this. Get business skills. Because if you don't have business skills, you will work very hard for very little. The thing is you are lacking the skills. So another person works not so hard, but they achieve a lot. It's kind of like cutting a tree. So I give you an axe, I give another person an axe. I give that person a blunt axe to cut a similar tree, and I give you a sharp axe. So for you, within a few moments, the tree is down, and you have no blisters in your hands, and you have not sweated. The other guy with a blunt axe has blisters, he's sweated a gallon, and the tree is still standing. He worked hardest with no results. This other guy with a sharp axe has brought the tree down in a matter of moments. So skills, business skills. And I'm talking here finance and accounting / cash flow. You know, just get to study. How can I prepare books of accounts? Because if you don't prepare books of accounts, you won't know whether you are making losses
or you are making
money. You won't know among your activities which one is making money, which one is robbing the other, which one to shut down, which one to maintain, which one to invest in more, which one to withdraw from. You have to keep records of every penny. And I encourage entrepreneurs, pay yourself a salary from day one. Now, you may not get the cash, but record it in the books that the company now owes me this much money. Why is that important?
Your own company.
Your own company. Because when you prepare books and eventually you declare a profit, you pay taxes. But in fact, you may be paying taxes on a salary you never paid yourself because you think it's profit. So accrue, it's called accrue, meaning debit the company with that salary you never got paid. So 12 months later, if you are still not paid, company owes you 12 months of salaries. But it's important to do that. Even if you're having family members, calculate how much you should be paying them, and as much as possible, make it a market rate. The reality might be that you are paying them less, so they are owed money. But when you prepare accounts, it will still show that part of the money was an expense. Maybe you paid them some allowance. Part of it is now a liability that is yet to be paid. So the profit, in fact, is less. This is very important.
So you don't just dish money.
No.
Anybody from Chinsadi?
No.
From the company business? No.
And the importance also of paying yourself a salary is, for instance, during the pandemic period now, small businesses where the owners never paid themselves a salary are the ones that close down very quickly, because now they go to withdraw working capital to survive now at home. Then the company closes. But if you are paying yourself a salary, you would have been saving some little money, and during a pandemic era, you don't now begin to plunder the company of its working capital to survive and buy food.
Let me, if I've followed you closely.
Yes, sir.
Your emphasis that when you're an entrepreneur, even if you don't know accounts and what, find somebody who knows accounts.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to come to that, Pastor. For you, the important thing is keep record of everything. So I buy something, ask for a receipt. You buy airtime, make sure you print that message we receive and file them. Because when you get a person to help you prepare accounts, if you don't know how, they will ask for those things. You just give them that file, they prepare accounts for you. But I see many entrepreneurs don't keep a record. So you go to the petrol station and put in fuel, and you don't even ask for a receipt.
Sure.
So now how will you be able to ascertain, did you make money or did you not make money? Because you're not keeping track of expenses. So keep track of every penny you spend, print out or have a folder somewhere where you keep soft copies, but you know these things can crash. Print, file somewhere. You may not know how to prepare books, but keep records.
If in the absence of a receipt, like you go to Soweto and buy gallons of carpenter and what,
yes,
they can't give you
a receipt.
Yes. What do? You just record.
No, yeah, but you know, again, they prepare accounts sometimes from what is called single entry, meaning there may not be a lot of records, especially for the very small ones, but that's because the small ones don't know the importance of doing what we are talking about. If I am that small person, I go to Soweto, they will not give me anything, I carry my own, perhaps, you know, there are those invoices that are just standard, there's no name of company. Yeah, I carry that one, I give that person, they fill in, they sign. I'm in a taxi, the taxi driver doesn't have anything, I say fill here. The guy fills, signs there, I rip and I go and file. It's my own little book, but it doesn't have my company name, I just picked it from a stationery shop. Oh. For those guys who don't have, so they can fill and give me, may I go and file. When the accountant comes to prepare, I'll give him that file. When the auditor comes to check, whatever the accountant has produced is backed by those documents. Yeah. But I see that most entrepreneurs don't realize the importance of this. Just for themselves even, to be able to track every expense and be able to tell, did I make money here? Or I'm losing money in this business. So I get out and look for another opportunity. Or begin to take certain steps because I find out where is my money going. Then, okay, I am spending carelessly here. I begin to cut back. And you need to get to a point where you are where you are in terms of spending. Then you think of what can I get rid of completely and still survive. So you chop out the waste until you are on what is called a shoestring budget, and you can still survive, especially during a pandemic time like now. You want to remove out a lot of waste. But how would you know unless you are keeping a record? Because then you can tell, I made so much money, so this so much cake, and then it was cut. What part of the cake went where? Then you find you are making a lot of unnecessary calls, or you're not buying soche and things. You are using normal time, and you are wasting money on your phones, etc., etc. Or you are driving carelessly around using too much fuel. You begin to cut back so your business can survive. So I said, obtain skills: accounting, marketing, human resource, procurement, stock control. Get skills in all those areas. So that your business, I always say this, entrepreneurs, when you start your business, think big, meaning begin to behave like a big company. What do big companies do? They don't keep money at home, they open a bank account. They bank I think within one day, within 24 hours, they must bank the money. They have systems very quickly. And the systems are the ones that deal with the human beings. So even if I'm away, the system is managing my people. I don't have to be there all the time because there are systems. Now I know at another point I had prepared the challenges that a Zambian entrepreneur faces with employees.
That, actually. Yes.
So, okay, let me just mention this quickly. I said have skills, have a business plan, set goals, recruit good workers.
Good workers.
Yes, and then sell your vision to those workers. So I have skills, then I have a plan, and I recruit well. Even if it's one person, I take my time to recruit the right person who will share my vision. Then I share that vision with that person. So I give them a sense of like they own also this thing. And I ask them also, what do I have to do to make you stay here and not leave? Yeah, most staff, if they see you mean well, they will tell you, this is what I dream about. Then you make sure you work that way so they don't leave you carelessly when you need them. All right? Then you can seek ways how to grow your business after that. But if we come back to staff, Because I think most businesses die because of wrong employees that you hire carelessly. You hire carelessly and they kill your business. Now, this is, I think, typically a Zambian challenge because every employer complains about the attitude of employees, either just towards work or towards customers. So towards work, this thing of it's not my thing, it belongs to the owner, one. Now that can be because of the employee, or sometimes because of the employer and the way they treat the staff. So you don't create that co-ownership at a psychological level. So they always think it's not their thing. And when you're absent, they undercut you, they steal, they cheat, not realizing they are cutting off their own legs. The other part is the culture now of the staff. That one of cutting corners. And I've heard people, when they want to build a house, they want to look for certain people, maybe the Zimbabweans, the Chinese, and then they are avoiding the Zambians. Now, I realized when we were in East Africa, Pastor, we built a house, and I think that house cost us 4 times what it should have cost us, because the guy would cheat us on prices of materials and cheat us on the quantities, and when he even takes some of the quantities like cement and adds sand. Now that attitude, so we sent for these door knobs and windows, he buys the cheapest, but he sent a price of expensive ones. Everything was like that. So whenever we come, this breaks, that you do this, they sand, and you realize, oh my goodness, this guy was cheating us left, right, and center. We spent more for poor quality. Now that attitude among our fellow citizens, it's a pity. It's called pride of workmanship, that you must take pride in what you do. That one is often lacking, and I'm yet to think of what causes that kind of attitude, where as long as I mean, if I can cheat and sweep things in the corner and cover it, I'll do that. And the owner would discover a long time later that actually what he thought was complete in the corner, it was covered and the thing is a mess there. And the person goes away feeling quite happy. Now that is a pity, because that's an attitude we need to change. So for staff, therefore, when you recruit, take your time, do background checks. Where has this person worked before? It's not for nothing that big companies do that. They dig backwards. They'll go to even social media. Look at the comments you've made on social media to see whether you have the character they are looking for. They talk, normally when you talk about where people have worked, they usually just say positive things. He was good when they know they chased him. Very few will tell the truth. So you want to do as much it's called due diligence as possible, so that the people you take on board will walk with you on your journey to that beautiful future. Yeah. It's like in Kenya we used to talk about, there was a certain route when people get on a bus. Now you know a bus, a minibus, or a taxi.
Matatu.
Matatu there. Matatu. There are daras in Tanzania, minibuses here. Those people don't ask, sir, before you get on our bus, what's your name? Where do you come from? Which village? What job do you do? No. If you have money to pay, come on board. So they don't care who gets on the bus. So in one part of that country, guys would get on a bus, and halfway to the venue, between towns, they would commandeer the bus into the bush. Then they rob everybody of everything. Then they tell you to take off your clothes, and they take the clothes also, so that none of you will run to the police while they are still nearby. By the time you go to the police, it's at night when no one can see, and they've disappeared.
I heard those stories.
So now, sometimes entrepreneurs employ, like those minibuses, just take on board anyone, and they commandeer you into the bush and leave you there naked without money.
By the time you are coming back,
it's at night like a wizard going to report yours. So be careful when you recruit. Recruit carefully. We say invest in recruitment. Take time. And when you have recruited, I think the English word is from UK is induct, meaning it's an induction. The Americans say on board. You onboard your people. Take time to onboard them. Tell them what your vision is. Tell them what you are trying to build. Tell them why you have brought them on board, because you think they have what it takes to build with you and paint this grandiose future, the Canaan you are going to, the promised land, so that they will feel they are shortchanging themselves if they try to leave you along the way. Like they want to leave you in the wilderness. going where now? To the Hivites and the Hittites. So they want to go with you to Canaan. So build that Canaan in their mind. They will stick with you and make them like psychological partners in your business.
And this is why the Bible says, write the vision.
And even if it tarries, it shall come. Yes.
So that whoever reads,
yes, they become part of it. They run with it. Sure. So, of course, that presumes have a vision, then share it with your new employees. I don't care whether it's a cleaner. Share the vision. You know the story of John F. Kennedy, the president of the U.S.?
Tell me.
And when they were designing to go to the moon at NASA, and so the story is told that, and many people know this, that someone went to NASA and found a guy cleaning, sweeping the place where scientists were meeting, and they asked him, what is your job here? And he was a janitor, a cleaner. He didn't say, I'm a janitor, I'm just a cleaner. My bosses ndio baziva inendine chabe cleaner. No, the guy said, my job here is to sanitize, is to clean this place so well that when the scientists meet, they will be able to think at their highest potential, so that we together can make a decision to take a man to the moon and bring him back safely before the decade is out. Now that was John F. Kennedy's vision, word for word.
Really?
But this was a cleaner. He didn't say, no, mufunse my bosses. No. And he didn't say them. He said, so that we can send a man to the moon and bring him back safely before the decade
That's
is
a
out.
cleaner.
Cleaner. So NASA had sold its vision to everybody, even cleaners. You find, Pastor, that he is a business doing very well. The security guard is not part of this thing, and he's harassing customers at the gate. And the customer thinks all of you are terrible. But inside, the people know what it takes, what is the vision. That security guard doesn't know. The receptionist doesn't know. And they have an attitude. I have gone, Pastor, to many places. I go in, just the attitude of the receptionist, I walk out. But probably the people inside there really knew where they were going and they were sold out to the idea, but they left out the receptionist. And that receptionist is not a receptionist. That's a front office manager or front office director. That cleaner there is not a cleaner. That guy is a scientific sanitizer in that place. And you should make sure they are sold out on your vision, so that everybody is walking in step to that promised land. Now that an entrepreneur should do from day one. Whenever you recruit, even if it's one person, sell them on your idea. Now you don't have to tell them every secret, but sell them where are we going, so that they know they're not just working for a salary anymore. They are working for a certain future.
Professor Munkumba.
Yes, sir.
This is national matters.
Yes, sir.
You've talked about entrepreneurship, and I'm writing. I'm not writing,
Yes.
but I'll listen to this over
because
and
it's
over.
being recorded.
It's being recorded.
Correct.
It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube.
Yes.
Even our Camnet TV viewers, they
Yes.
can listen to this over and over.
Correct.
To make themselves the best decisions. How would you translate
Yes.
entrepreneurship spirit
Yes.
from the president to cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries?
Yes.
How do we translate that so that we start looking at Zambia
Yes.
as our own nation?
Correct. Now, the question you ask, Pastor, is fundamental, and I take you to Scripture. Which personality has impacted the world more than anybody else in history? Jesus. The Lord Jesus. Nobody else has impacted the world like him. But how did he do that at a time when there was no social media, there was no TV, there was nothing? How could he do that? He took 12 guys for 3 years, changed them, and they turned the world upside down. I always, the advantage of a person like a president, for instance, a minister and permanent secretaries, is that they can speak to many people at once. That's a good plus. But the bigger one is for them to influence the people immediately around their circle. And then let those go on to influence those around their circle. And let this thing cascade all the way down to the councillors, to the ward in those wards, all the way to now homes. that's how to build this kind of transformation, because cultural transformation is one of the most difficult things to do, and there's even no guarantee of success. But it's always best implemented from the top down. Why? Because the authority exists and the resources exist. From down up, it can work. It's called organic transformation. So it starts from the bottom up, but it's slower because it lacks the channels to communicate. It lacks the resources. So often in cultural transformation, we always say, let it be led from the top and fueled from below. So the fuel tank are the people, but the engine is at the top. It must rev. So president influences the ministers. The ministers go on to influence their ministries. The ministries go on to influence their sectors. The sectors, they go all the way to the grassroots because the structures exist. This is the way to do it.
Now the problem, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to say this. You see what I've seen in the political world and in leadership world?
Yes.
People like you.
Correct.
Even if you wanted to go to State House,
yes,
it will be very hard for you to see the president.
I know.
Because somebody may think, if I bring Professor Munkumba in, I'll lose my job.
I know.
Or this may happen.
I know.
Forgive me to say this, but I've been I've been around the presidents in this nation and outside.
Yes.
You know, in Bemba there is a saying atumusungu tapata bantu bakapitao mulomo. Those around.
Yes, correct.
You know?
Correct.
It's like instead of looking at the big picture to transform the nation, they just look in their pockets. They just look in within these 5 years. I must have a Prado, I must have a this. So the narrow-mindedness is what picks me sometimes, because this is a nation we've got to develop. And if I've heard you clearly there, as an entrepreneurship, as an entrepreneur, you must have your records well. How you are spending government money, how you are doing this, all those things. So now, Professor, help the nation. Because you see, my heart bleeds. This is my country.
I agree. Understand.
My heart bleeds. Some of the people around the president, some of the people in leadership,
and ministers,
members
of parliament,
some of them, they are not worth it. I can tell you. I don't work with them, but they are not worth it.
Here's the solution to that, and it can happen to my managing director also, at every level, because leadership is not so much the position, it's the person, and it's every level all the way to the household. You need a leader. What others have done, and I can speak about Rwanda, I can speak about Tanzania did that, and I think also Ramaphosa, South Africa. So what they've done, they've got these advisors around them, the local ones. Then they've also gone outside and got advisors that are cross-cutting both internal and external. So you find, I don't know whether Bill Gates is on Kagame's advisory board. So there are people like that. Branson, all those guys are on it. I think Cyril Ramaphosa too has picked, I remember, a former governor of the Bank of Tanzania, a gentleman I met, even got this book. We talked. I was training the central bankers there. He was also on the advisory board of Cyril Ramaphosa. He just passed on recently. So sometimes the president can have his normal advisors, the ones from your party, etc. Then you also go outside and pick advisors that may both be national and some even international, so that you are listening from two sides, and this opens a very good window for you. The internal guys have a lot of internal knowledge. They can give you where the tire meets the road, what's happening on the ground. Then you have these others that come with a bigger picture that these guys may not quite have for all sorts of reasons, including the ones you mentioned. But these ones are detached, so they bring more objectivity than the ones immediately near you. Because the people around you, some of them may be very afraid to speak truth to power.
Absolutely.
Yes, which is very human. But the
it happens a lot in African countries.
Yes. But the outsiders don't have that. They will just tell you exactly the way it is, and they look at it. Now, I continue to mentor chief executives. So the CEOs have their directors. But when I go to speak to them now, and I tell them, look, you are in the fire. There are some things you can't see there. Me, coming from outside, I'm totally objective. And I look at you as just another individual. I don't have this boss thing. So I will tell you exactly the way it is. And it will be very helpful to you. And it has been. But the insiders may, sir.
Even where you go wrong, they will be clapping.
Yeah. They will say certain things and they know exactly what gets you annoyed. They avoid to mention it. And yet maybe that's what you need to hear about at that moment. So many presidents also, and I'm sure it's the same for ours, they also have other people who they go out to listen to them, knowing that my immediate team may not say the truth about this. Maybe I'll get angry with them, so they are afraid. Then they have also outsiders. But you can do that also professionally. You pick professionals from all over, outside the country, inside the country, and many of them don't have to be paid anything. For them, it's on their CV. I advise the president of this and this. It's very good for them. And they will give you a lot of this bigger picture advice, which maybe your immediate people may not. Jesus had 12. The 12 went on to turn the world upside down. You can't change the world, even if you are the overall boss. But you can change the people immediately next to you, and you tell them to change their, and it cascades, the ripple effect. Eventually, the important thing is consistency. If you start something, push it through. Don't make a noise today, then you forget. People backslide, and then it's forgotten. You have to stick with it.
You know, Professor,
yes, sir.
You have helped me. We'll soon be taking a break.
Yes, sir.
For the past 4 months.
Yes.
For the past 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
My wife and I have been quiet on this agriculture thing.
Okay.
And tactfully so.
Yes.
And wonderfully so.
Yes.
It does not mean, you remember we're pushing this vision, caster, what?
Yes.
And there came a time when we just...
Yeah, you took a back seat.
We took a back seat.
Yes.
Zambia has no idea that in here,
yes,
in my wife's...
It's still incubating.
Heart, my goodness. I want you to know, Professor, I am now set,
yes,
together with the Cabinet TV viewers,
correct,
that we are now able to change this nation.
All right.
We are now able.
Cool.
Because, listen, the president cannot do everything.
No.
For me.
Not possible.
For you.
No.
He has got a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Looking for money to pay soldiers, police officers, to pay this. He's got so many things.
Correct.
But when we come together as Cabinet family, or people who are born for greatness, and say, let's change this, with the president's help, you know that Zambia is going to
But this is exactly, this goes back to what John F. Kennedy said, again, the famous statement. Don't ask what the country will do for you or can do for you. Ask what you can do for the country. So it cuts two ways. If we get up ourselves and say, what can I do where I am? What I said earlier, that then all we demand of government at that point is to create an enabling environment. The doing will be by ourselves. I mean, the government will not come and give me business skills. It's myself, and these things are online. I can go sit, I read, I teach, I look for a mentor, I ask him to help or her to help me. The president or the MP or the minister cannot come to my house and say, now, Prof, we think you lack skill here. We are going to bring someone to teach you. No, that's something I can do. Once I go out to do something, then if I find impediments, I find roadblocks, and I find that my government can do something about that, that's when I go to my MP and say, please, sir, I think you need to lobby for changing this law. It is messing us as small business people. You need to change here. That's when you lobby with your members of parliament so they can go there and introduce new laws or make amendments to those laws so that we can operate well. Government is there to provide that environment. But the doing is ourselves. When we sit and expect government to do what we can do, then we are totally off tangent. We've gone off track.
You know, Professor, before you flew back to Zambia,
yes,
my wife and I set up this conference. You know about it. We were supposed to have a conference.
Correct.
Early this year.
Yes.
And we keep on postponing.
Yes.
And of course, the nation doesn't know why we keep on postponing this.
Yes.
It's because after doing the conference at the government complex,
correct,
and the one in Kitwe, and also I've just discovered that yes, we can talk, and you know Zambians are good at talking. But implementation.
No action.
But this conference that we have put, where all these professors are speaking, including yourself, you know, it's something that will blow the mind of the people attending.
Wonderful.
And from there, we have put mechanisms that whoever will attend that conference, it's like having been to university and you are graduating with something.
A mini masterclass.
I'm telling you, because somebody said, a mind is like a parachute.
Yes.
It works better when it's open.
Yes. If it's closed, you plummet it
straight to the football pitch.
Yes.
And your intestines are everywhere.
Dead before you arrive. Brought in dead.
But by the grace of God, Professor, I am very passionate about this nation. Very passionate.
Amen.
And I believe that Zambia's economy will bounce back.
Wonderful.
I'm not an economist.
Yes.
I'm not a professor like you. But within here, there is that GPS you talked about.
To the promised land.
I'm telling you. So, Professor, let's take a break.
A break, yes.
Let's take a break, then open the lines for the Zambians. Because my wife and I, we know that we are a family. There are people who are urging to send the text messages.
Yes.
And those of you that are watching us on this, please now start sending the text messages. Mr. Director, or my director, superb directors I have, please give the phone numbers there and let the people start sending the text messages now, and let them start sending the WhatsApp messages.
Correct.
Please put the phone numbers there on the screen. Professor, before we take the break.
Yes, please.
You said the cultural change is more difficult.
Yes.
I want to come from this angle.
Correct.
Me as a preacher, I preach to people to be saved, to have a change mindset. Is it difficult to impact a vision to the people so that they run with it? If cultural change is difficult, is it difficult for me to impact the vision for the people to run with it?
It is difficult, not impossible. As for any change, it needs to be planned for. You need to have a plan for that change. And even then, you have to bear in mind that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's not a quick fix, it's not an instant coffee, instant tea, and that's another challenge. Why many people have gone into farming, for instance, and they get out quickly. They want to start this, they get discouraged because they are looking for quick fixes. The poor reading culture in my country is all part of it, because we want just, and it's done. Changing culture takes time. It must be planned for. It is a marathon, but it is doable. But here's the advantage. The rewards are immense when you manage to change the culture, because you change the attitudes, the thinking, the mindset of people. You literally make them 50% there already. If they are poor, just changing their minds makes them already half rich already. The rest is merely action. But action without changing mindsets, no. You create even more problems. It's like you discover minerals in a particular area. They were very poor. Suddenly there's a lot of money. What happens? Vices. You have now marriages breaking up. You have diseases. You've got social problems. Why? Money came, but the people's minds were not changed to handle the money that has arrived. So a good thing has become a problem. This is why you need to change people's minds first. And the culture change, for us even here in this country, a culture change is long overdue. We need to go back to a set of values. And then we can say, now let's march. Because that's what determines how you will behave. That culture. It's kind of, I asked the question, Pastor, finally, before the break, that why does a river flow all the way to the ocean or to the lake? And people tell me because of the slope, because of what I say, yeah, you are right, but you are wrong. The answer is because of the river banks. The river banks keep the water in the river, and if there are no river banks, the water spreads and it becomes a swamp. And the swamp is smelly and it has diseases. When you lack a culture as a nation, you become like a swamp. And it's difficult to do anything good with a swamp unless maybe growing rice, and you better be prepared for all kinds of illnesses. So those values, that culture, is what defines the way we behave on the journey to the promised land, to that developed country called Zambia. So whatever we do, yes, we need entrepreneurship, but we need a certain mindset. And that mindset, we are talking culture now, and cultural transformation. And I say it's difficult, yes, but it is doable. We can do it.
Mr. Director, in the interest of time, just give us a Camnet TV advert so that the people may see that this is not just another channel, and then we continue with the phone calls. May God bless all the Camnet TV viewers, and I want you to know, Camnet TV viewers, you were born for greatness. Whether you are a servant, you are a cleaner, as Professor said, whether you are a garden boy, nobody should call you garden boy when you are married and you're
a man.
You are a man. So we must change. We need the banks. I like that.
Yes.
We must change our thinking.
Yes.
May God bless you. Thank you, Mr. Director.
Are you a qualified, impartial and professional journalist, news editor, video editor or newscaster? Camnet TV is looking for more professionals in the media industry. For more details, call 0962 965883 or send your details to our email info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Dear Camnet TV viewers, I am in the studio with Professor Munkumba here, a man that has been endowed with knowledge, a man that has lectured in most of the universities. He has lectured from presidents to permanent secretaries to people like Pastor Chiluba. He has lectured to pastors, bishops, if you like. One of the rare gifts on the continent of Africa. And I'm so grateful that he's a Zambian, born in Mungula, educated from Mukushi, and the universities that he has attended, some of you, some of us will never go there because the age is not on our side. Professor.
Yes, sir.
The phone lines are open now. Let's discuss. But those of you that are calling, please call 09, or they are already calling, please call that number 0968 675 273. Hello, good evening. Mwabombeni mukwai busheti mwalanda kwa chisungu abantu bomfwe tulina ku Caribbean Islands na landeni kanshi tumfwe nimwe baniyama bani bwali oba bwali akwisoko kundola babwali alandeni tumfwe emkwai amen. Babwalia muleo chita break ile chita break but landeni tumfwe fimo file umfwika Babwalia. Oh.
He has gone.
Maybe the line is cut.
Yeah.
Babwalia, please call again. You are a blessing. He wanted to explain. And the nation needs to hear that. And we are so grateful, Babwalia. Please call again. Those of you who are calling, please call 0968 675 273. If you call that number, you will be in the studio. But if you are to send the text messages, please send 0962 965 7883. The other one is WhatsApp. Professor.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the challenges, the major challenges that an entrepreneur can face?
Yes, that's a good question. And coming to that one, maybe I can say one or two things. That there are a lot of advantages of having a family business, in the sense that the level of commitment is often higher, because this is our thing, and this is not my job, doesn't arise much. People are willing to do anything. And because usually the parents or the senior people are in charge, so there's that respect again from the home to the company. And in times like now, pandemic, it's very easy for family members to cut their salary without complaining, because they know the money is down, whereas non-family members may want to retain their salaries. So there are those advantages. But there are also challenges even there. And I was speaking to a friend of mine. We went to Mukushi Secondary School together, and we left Mukushi, the two of us, to the university, and we have been friends. He was my chief best man at my wedding. He's called Shadrach Zulu. And he runs a business. They supply these nuts to a lot of shops called Sabi's business. And I asked him, so, look, I've been away from Zambia. What have you faced? And he mentioned some things that I think I can quickly run through, and I have kind of opened them up. He said quality, one, that our staff don't seem to be concerned about quality. So as an owner, you cannot afford to run the business by Bluetooth. Where you are absent.
Remote.
Yeah, it doesn't work well, because our staff are not very particular about the quality. And so for me, the solution would be empower your people, so that they begin to feel this is our thing. Then they begin to think like you think. They begin to care as if it's their own thing. There are steps you can take to create that. It's called an engaged employee. How do you make your employee engaged? They feel psychologically as if they own the company as well. And it's a lot of training to do this. So, because he said quality is an issue, and I agreed. Reliability, said you supply something, then you are not there. Today you are there, you're not. Maybe you are even roasting maize by the roadside, or selling cabbage. So people get to know, she's normally there, that lady. But one day they come, you are not there. Another day you are there. This third day you are not there. Then you are unreliable. They find another one who is reliable. So be consistent, whatever you do. Through thick and thin. Be there whenever you should.
Let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Pastor Clover.
We are permanently blessed. Who are we talking to?
This is Senior Headman Ndubula from Mungo.
Senior Headman? Ndubula.
Yes, from Mulendema Chiefdom in Mungo.
Please go ahead, my father.
I'm not. Pastor, I remember the young man traveled to Ndola in 1982 to go and bury my father, Bishop Scarborough. I think if you remember the friend to Angel Mnungwe and Charity.
Yes.
Yes. We were together.
Oh.
A few bus to bury the old man that Ngo.
Angel Mnungwe.
That was quite some time now.
Yes.
Yes, please. First of all, the prophet, I'm finding my mentor, looking at how you are explaining things, not only the theory part, but also practically, I think most of it, though I've not tried, I would be encouraged to do it practically, what you're talking about.
Mm.
In the village here, I've taken up an entrepreneurship role, not only for myself, but as well as for my subjects, my headmen, also, my relatives that I live with in the community.
Mm.
And when and here, the energy that the professor has, I feel I found myself a mentor. And
Amen.
the conference that you've talked about, I would like to attend it at all costs. I'm ready to pay for way there, yes, but please, I would want him to be mentor so that every time when I'm brave enough to start a new thing, I can be counseled by a professor. Yes.
What you do, Senior Headman, please write me send the text to the number on the middle of your screen, because after this, then we can chat together. Or you can call me when we close the program. That number, I'll have it. Or you can call in the morning.
I'm blessed, Pastor, and I don't I should be calling you Pastor now. I thought you have a title, Bishop, Reverend, but I don't know, maybe it's a marketing strategy.
No. This man talking to you is a pastor, nothing more, nothing less.
People have gotten big titles,
No, they deserve those titles.
Okay.
So
it's nice I'm in the program, and I'll keep until the end of the professor. You're doing a fine. Please continue imparting us the youth so that we can become entrepreneurs and create our own jobs.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bless you. You see, Professor, what I said, you've heard from this headman, senior headman. Camnet TV family is big.
Yes.
Others don't call, others don't write, but I can tell you, there are people who watch this television station who are serious.
Yes.
And I know we will change this nation.
Yes, Pastor.
We will. One of the things, Senior Headman, I must tell you why we've been postponing this conference. It's because we have engaged a lot of people, professors within this country, and our national leaders. They will be part of that conference, and we just want to make a difference. And I can tell you, Professor,
yes, sir.
what he said, that you pay for anything.
Yes.
For my mind to open a little bit, to see how people live. You remember those days I used to go to America 2-3 times a year?
Yes, yes.
I was just paying for certain conferences to go and sit and hear. Now imagine how much the ticket would cost in those days, even now, to go to America. Imagine hotel bills. Imagine the food. All that was because I needed knowledge. Somebody would watch Pastor Chiluba and Pastor Victoria Chiluba just thinking, oh, these Chinsali and the Kawambwa Luapula girls, they are doing this, not knowing that we have invested time and the knowledge in some of the things that we do.
Correct.
And some people, Professor, don't want to pay for quality things.
No.
They want just cheap things.
Cheap.
They are away with
Which
it.
is a mindset. One other thing I was going to mention is, especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic, I've noticed myself, you go to a bank, when I was in Tanzania, I went to a bank, and they were asking me, look, you can get a loan if you want one, and we don't need security, just give us your pay slip, blah, blah, blah. So they were on my case month after month. Then finally I said, okay, can I get that loan now? I said, okay, here's a form. I look at the form, it is saying we need your employer to introduce you to us, and it has all these requirements. Then I said, excuse me, I've been banking with you for 20 years. My employer has never banked with you. I am your client for 20 years. Now you want me to bring a letter from my employer, who you don't know and they don't know you, to introduce me to you. What is this?
Yeah.
Then the young lady said, we are sorry, sir, but it's a standard form that everyone fills. I said, that's the problem right there. Standard things in a time like this. We are talking about hyper-personalization. You have to personalize service. You have to know your customers individually. Profile them.
Professor, let's pick up
Thank
this
you.
call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Reverend Wada Justin. I'm calling from Sri Lanka.
Reverend Wale, how are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Thank you.
How is my daughter and everyone at home?
Everyone is fine, Daddy.
This is our son, very successful Reverend in Mufrila. Please talk to the nation. The professor is listening.
Yeah, Professor Munkumba, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Reverend.
I have two contributions.
Yes.
The first one is that I want to appreciate the efforts that were made into, putting up comment, because a man of your stature would not have been known by the nation without the comment. Even though you were that is, church member and a friend, but there was no way this nation would have known about you without comment. So I want to say to thank God, and also the efforts that were put into, the vision of realizing comment.
That's true.
Secondly, I have followed the last time when that brought you on the set. I was trying to make a contribution, but I couldn't go through. And I was listening to you that time. We made it a point to say, my wife, that doing today's program will not pass us by. Because what you are uploading is so deep, it's simple, but it's so complex. It's a pointer, it spurs something in a person's life to put their hands to action. Yes, so my thinking is that we have the Engineering Association of Zambia, we have the Law Association of Zambia, we have all these bodies around. Can we also have the Professors Association of Zambia, which you can talk to those who are in Zambia and those who are in diaspora, so that you become a pool of knowledge that government can tap from. They're looking at so many challenges that the nation is facing. We are praying, God helping us is revealing men like you. And other professors who are in Zambia and those who are in the diaspora, you can come up with, can come together. So that government doesn't have to avoid these difficulties, trying to find, for instance, if government wants to empower the youth, before government can put money in the hands of the youth, government can come to your association, fish wisdom from him. You are seminars with the people that government has identified before they are empowered. We have the challenge here. Government is putting money in the hands of the youth who have not been prepared.
That's right.
Tomorrow these youths will misuse the money. Who are we going to blame? Who is government going to blame? Nobody. It's just that there were no systems that were put in place on how to empower these youth first with knowledge and understanding before money can be put in their hands. Right now we are wasting resources, giving money in the hands of the youth who have no knowledge on how to use it. If you give somebody 10,000 and they don't know how to raise 100 kwacha from themselves, if you give them 10,000, they will not know how to grow that money.
That's right.
So that's what is happening right now. Millions and millions have been put into musicians, into different sectors of our society, but that money is going to waste. That's my opinion, because I don't see these people growing and developing the money which has been put in their hands. So, Professor, I'm appealing. We have other professors of right mind that who have started done different things. Come together as a body, start an association. My opinion is that even the Engineering Association of Zambia, when government wants to construct a road, government wants to construct an airport,
we go and hire the Chinese to come and do it, we have the engineering machine of that. So what is that? What's their use? What is their use? So, Professor, looking at what you are floating right now, I beg you in the name of God, find other professors with like mind. Come up with professors, Association of Zambia. That is the body that is going to be a pool of knowledge and wisdom that government can come to, and seek wisdom in order to spur economic development that we are looking at as a nation. Those are the two things that I wanted to contribute to the program this evening. Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you, Pastor Bwadia.
Point taken.
May God bless you. Greetings to our daughter there. And you have stopped calling me these days. Professor.
Yes, sir.
Son Reverend Bwadia brings two things. Of course, one is to thank God for Camnet TV. Another one is to form the association called PAS, not FAS, Professional Association of Zambia. Yes. What would you say to that? This could mean professors from the law school, from agriculture school, but all the professors you form a pool of knowledge and wisdom to the government.
It's a good idea, absolutely. I mean, there is an association online that was formed at one time that was really Africa-wide, and it was very active. I'm not sure right now. And then I've seen another initiative started by medical doctors based in Canada and across. I've been seeing them talking online, but he has a point. If we could have a think tank like that, and I think it's doable, the Maskinis of this world, and just say, look, let's come together, who is where, and then we say, guys, okay, for instance, the government now is working on the 8th National Development Plan, and they are looking for ideas. So we are like, guys, what ideas can we give government right now? And when that plan comes out and the execution maybe is having issues, say, guys, how can we advise so that the execution really works? Because there's the Economic Recovery Program, which is going on up to 2023, but then there's this plan also for the 8th one, which is coming. All of them, we could be looking at them and say, look, what are their strategic gaps? How can we help government with a very positive attitude? How can we advise? So government doesn't have to go to outsiders and say, look, can you advise us, when they are her own people, the country's own people, who are outside actually, and some are inside. So we could have a voluntary something like that. It's something I've noted down here, Pastor.
I saw you writing, as per your tradition.
Yes.
I'll leave it to you.
Yes,
Mr. Director, please give us the messages that have come through back to back so that we don't leave out some people. The text messages on WhatsApp and on, Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Professor Munkumba, not Munkumba. Okay, Munkumba.
Yes.
You have really opened my scope. God bless you. This is Charity Kuema from Kasempa. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Charity, you are a blessing.
Yes.
I am watching Camnet, the Bishop and the Pro. This program powerful. We need a seminar. We need seminars. Pastor, most especially us here in Lusaka. Pastor, this man is powerful. From Pastor Mebin Chishiba. I can tell you, Pastor Bwadia will drive all the way from Mufurira. Yes. Good evening, Pastor and Prof. It's good that you have spoken well, but challenge is capital injection of a startup business and support of locals from the people in authority. They would prefer support. They would prefer support foreigners. Too much African mentality, Muzungu Wanga attitude. This is from Miki Zulu. Chinsali, I'm glad this is a misplaced Zulu in my village. Now, let me answer this one. Keep this, please keep this. We'll get back to it.
Yes.
I want to answer Mr. Zulu.
Yes.
Is my cousin at the same time. He has gone to hide in Chinsali because he knows how beautiful Chinsali is.
And it is.
Yeah. You see, me sitting here, I would like to differ with Mr. Zulu, Professor. Because do you know that when we began this vision of television, we didn't get any single way from the government?
Correct.
No. We had the vision.
Yes.
My wife and I just bought 2 cameras. You know that?
Yes.
Just 2 cameras from Dubai.
Yes.
Using our money.
Yes.
And we said, let's start a TV station. Why?
Yes.
Because we are born for greatness. This kind of mentality to say government empowers foreigners, I don't subscribe to this, because I believe with all my heart, and I will leave you to say something about this. Because, Professor, if I wait for the government to help me to start Cabinet, all the government will do is to provide me with a license.
Yes.
You want radio? Here's a license.
Yes.
You want TV? Here's a license.
Yes.
They can't provide you with a license, with the equipment, with the cameras, the lights. You know what I'm talking about? So a vision, I sit down with my wife, we talk about it, we pray about it, and say, let's start.
Yes.
Buy 2 cameras.
Yes.
And people are watching us thinking, what a big studio.
Yeah.
No, it's because we had 2 cameras.
Yes.
It is this year, in fact, 2-3 months ago,
Yes.
Professor,
Yes.
that people are even seeing branded cars in Lusaka Cabinet TV.
Yes.
We didn't have a vehicle,
Correct.
but just the vision.
Yes.
So I want to say to the people who were born for greatness, like Mr. Zulu, we should not wait for the government
Correct.
to kickstart us.
No.
I don't know what you would say about
I'd
this. Is
agree.
what I believe.
I'd agree. If the government comes in, it should be a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus, really.
Absolutely.
Which would be beautiful. But money follows ideas. I understand that for small businesses, capital is always a challenge in this part of the world. Either you have savings, if you don't, maybe you go to microfinance institutions and, yeah, you know, the charges.
They will rip
They
you.
want security, or maybe you borrow from family members if they have money, and that may be difficult. But even just having a skill is capital. If you have a skill, it's capital. If I'm a mechanic, I just need a place and tell drivers, guys, I can repair ABC, I'm an electrician, auto electrician, and people start coming. So a skill can be capital, which will give you that initial money you need just by giving a service out there. It's when you don't have a skill and you want to start something. Now you need money to start because you have to buy this, buy that. But a skill can be capital. If you have families who can support you, even just to start something, and they will support you without pay until the business picks up, that is equal to capital. Because you could have paid someone, but now you are not paying that person, but they are working because they are your relative, for instance. So some families start businesses that way. No pay. They sweat it out until money begins to come. So don't always look for someone must bring money. If there is that source, wonderful. But if there isn't, make sure, even if there is, have an idea. Money does not follow where there are no ideas. Most big businesses started without money, as you are saying, but they had a vision. They had an idea. And that idea, when they spoke to someone said, I think I'm interested. I think I can give you something to start with. Because they saw an idea. Don't go into entrepreneurship without an idea, without a vision, without a plan. Money will not follow that because you are disrespecting the money to start with. And there are many people who get money, they start, a few months later it's excuses.
And
or someone cheated me, or someone did what. And
this is what Pastor Justin would have said from Federal. You remember?
Correct.
He said some people have received money from the government.
Yes.
But they are nowhere.
Of course.
Because they didn't have the skill. They didn't have.
I mean, how many people have won jackpots and before long they are poor again? Because they just didn't have a plan for that money. So go out there. I've come back home and I'm an entrepreneur now. I mean, my wife has always been in entrepreneurship since before we got married.
Yes.
But now me, I'm in entrepreneurship. Actually, I came back without being paid my dues and everything. I'm yet to be paid. That didn't stop me.
From resigning.
Exactly. I resigned because I resigned now. So now people have to start preparing because I took them by surprise. So they couldn't say, okay, you are going, here's your money. I said, it doesn't matter. I have a skill and the skill will be my capital. Because I'll go and offer a service, the first person to pay, that's my capital. Now I can push forward and set up offices and everything. So people don't realize a skill is money. So if you can't get a skill, get a skill. I would also say that maybe this is a little what people may not expect. maybe not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, maybe not. If there are people who are very comfortable being employed, and they are literally spooked by the idea of going out of employment. So if you are that kind of person, perhaps remain employed, and you might be one of the best employees. But if you feel frustration, you know, you are always opposing what's going on, and the deep inside you there's a frustration about being exactly. Then please, by all means, don't wait for all the lights to go green. As long as they are amber,
start off.
Dive. And the time is never ripe that now this is the time to go. It will never happen like that. I'm not saying dive into the lake like that guy in Lake Malawi. I'm saying think about it, dream about it, plan for it. But please don't wait for all the lights to go green. It just will never happen. There will be no perfect time to start something. The thing is to start. What did the Chinese say? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. I said it last time. The next best time is now, right now. Start something. Okay. Start writing. You want to be a writer of books? People have come to me, you've written books. Yes, yes. How do I become a writer? I said, okay, you have a laptop? He said, yes. I switch it on. You know how to go to Microsoft Word? Yes, yes. Open a blank page. I've opened. You've always thought of writing books? Yes, yes, sir. Start writing. Start the first sentence. I said, but don't I have to have a structure of the book? I said, no, 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 no. What is in your head, put it down. The structure will come later. Start writing. That's how to learn. If you're going to learn how to fish, you go to the pool. If you're going to learn to swim, you dive into the pool. You
not
go with somebody. Go with some, not in the watching from. So that's how. That's the side stroke, whatever. No, go in the water. So you've got to go in there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking to those people who feel, they always feel I have to do more than this. I was born for more than this. Yeah. This is not enough. This cannot be everything. You know, they are paid. I left, you know, Pastor, where I came from. I had diplomatic status. It's all green and nice. No, I am starting from scratch. And my office right now is in my house. And my employees are my boys. All three of them, they are my first employees.
And your wife?
My wife,
she has got
we have many other employees there, yes. But in this consulting training, we started with my children in my house. And we are reading, we are contacting USAID, we are contacting all kinds of people at home. Because now with the pandemic, people are working from home. So it has worked well for us.
I just wanted to say something about that, Mr. Zulu, but we should read more about the text messages.
Right.
Mr. Director, please bring those text messages. Pastor Chu and Professor Munkumba, good evening, sir. I'm following the program very closely, and I must confess that it's loaded with much knowledge, if not wisdom. Question, Pastor, to Professor. Why is it that some employers don't want to be advised by their employees? Gabriel Mwila from Kalulush.
Wonderful question. I'm not sure he even knows how deep that question is. It's a deep one, Pastor. And I spent much of last year training banks in Tanzania exactly on that question. How to create an engaged employee. Employee who is engaged, and when they come to work, they bring not only their physical body, but they bring all of their mind. And they are respected for their mind. So you are paying not just for their brawn, but for their brains as well. Because every human being is born for that. We are all born not only to be respected, but to be, how can I put it, to be involved, to be engaged, to be challenged for our ideas. So how those who don't want to do that, they are following what is called an old management paradigm, where the boss knew everything. So I don't hire you to think, I hire you to do what I tell you. But that's long gone. Yeah, we know the complexity of the environment is such that no one person, no matter how educated, can know the answers to every challenge. You want to use every brain. It's called OPB, other people's brains. You want to use every brain you can and borrow every brain you can. And why would you let people come into